Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Now, full transparency, I've already recorded a message. I was out and about today with my son, and we stopped at McDonald's Play Place, and it was really quiet. And I brought my cards out just in case I had an opportunity to just whip out a reading real quick, because I really didn't know what time I was going to be back in the house. Thankfully, I am back well before the sun has gone down, and all that to say that if that reading was kind of grim, I'll say that. And so I was kind of unsure if I was even going to post it or not. But if I did decide to, then that means if you're watching this, the other one, if I did decide to, then it's already posted because I'll probably post that one first. And if I didn't decide to, then I'm sorry, but Spirit is saying that maybe it's not so great to post because it was a bit grim. And then I low-key had a laugh about it because I'm in McDonald's Play Place, and when I correlated the spirit of the reading to one of the characters, which is Grimace, it was like, oh, maybe the spirit of Grimace was hovering over those cards. Because there's like a meme about Grimace now, so much so that my son thinks that he's actually an evil character, and I had to correct him like, boy, Grimace been around a long time, and that's just social media propaganda. He's not really a scary character. He's actually a quite docile and friendly character, conventionally, or I should say classically. So anyway, but maybe his evil twin was hovering because that reading was grim. I almost felt bad to even be doing it in the Play Place, but luckily nobody was in there. It was just me and him. So anyway, we have the 10 of Pentacles on the board. Okay, all right. Well, just come on out. Why don't you? I'm gonna try to keep this short too. It was a pretty short one, which was good. Oh, whoa. Already different from the last one. 10 of Pentacles, King of Wands, Temperance. All right, can I get three on the next row? Let's see what we got here. Let's just do a quick little pyramid, and I'm gonna get out your way. Already, some great cards. We got generational wealth. Oh, come on, somebody. The Lovers. Now we got the King of Wands, the most powerful. And wow, look at this. 8 of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles. All right, let's see. Uh-oh, we got the King of Cups down here. 2 kings on the board. Oh, we got the 9 of Pentacles. Cards ain't playing. They trying to make up for that last reading. That shit was crazy. All right, we got the 8 of Pentacles. Somebody's working hard. And wow. All right, I'm going to take it. Even though it's a bit more than I bargained for, I'll put Judgment down here. Okay. Interesting. Or should Judgment be here? I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it as it is. All right, so let's see here. We got generational wealth. We got the King of Wands up top with the Temperance card. That's some type of, I'm hearing Earth Angel, but definitely some type of spiritual support or assistance with the Temperance card. We got the Lovers, a divine union, perhaps true love vibes. Definitely someone, if not two someone's choosing their higher self. Then we got someone walking away from a long-term investment. by way of the Eight of Cups. Something they put a lot of love into, a lot of spirit into. But what are they walking into but the Ace of Cups, which is the ultimate gift and reward from the divine. So it looks like their faith to walk away from whatever they were comfortable in or comfortable with was well rewarded with something even greater than what they had. Something altogether different, as a matter of fact, because it's not like he walked away just to the Ace of Cups. He's walked away into an Ace of Pentacles. So some transformative change, some transformative effect has taken place on account of walking away, perhaps especially with gifts, and this being the Ace of Pentacles. I'm seeing it, as him expanding in his spiritual gifts on account of walking away. Or both of these individuals. It could be the lovers, both of them both having a moment of walking away and then finding themselves accelerated or exalted in some new and powerful way. But then we got the King of Cups here. Oh, here's the cup. Okay. This is how he was. So he's going from, if I'm reading this as this being the same guy, he's going from just kind of leading by passion and ambition, and the King of Wands is fierce, and yeah, it was like his passions were balanced by this angelic force. Like, it's nothing wrong with the King of Wands in his upright state, more or less being a passionate being and ambitious and courageous and confident and all that good stuff. But there's definitely something to be said with this angelic force kind of balancing his ambition and that being transposed in some way. Maybe he began to lead more with his wand and the sensation of life, more impulsively, in an upright way, because your ambitions can forge in impulsion as well, or impulsivity, or whatever the word is, with the King of Wands. But sometimes, as fire signs find it to be, no matter how advanced they are, you can kind of put the cart before the horse a bit, maybe jump a little bit too soon, or 9 times out of 10, fire signs that operate off of ambition usually fare out well enough, because that's just their come from. They usually find a way to make do or to make the best of their whatever the outcome may be. But there's something that's been matured in him to value the spirit of the matter, his love energy, his spiritual substance, which comes before any action is taken. Because spirit, I feel, in terms of the suits, the cups, are first. That's the spirit of the matter. Then I feel like the spirit becomes thought with the swords. Then your thoughts become actions. And then your actions become material by way of the pentacles. So it's like he's been matured to value his original state, which goes well with the Lover's card as well, to the highest value of his original state of being. It's not that it wasn't good that he was ambitious and willing to take a risk and just jump out and conquer, and his passions were leading the way, but now his spirit is leading the way. His spirit is guiding his impulses, which is good. Especially when it's ordained here with the Ace of Pentacles. That's like support from an ethereal nature. And this reward, actually, because here, first and foremost, before he even gets to the King of Cups, this is the value of the spirit here. Choosing his higher self and seeing his present circumstances, weighing his options, like, you know what, this isn't what I would ideally want for myself. Even though I've been in this place for a long time, I may be comfortable, I may be complacent at best, maybe not comfortable, but sometimes complacency is enough for someone that isn't really willing to take the risk to see what possibilities of change are on the horizon. The Eight of Cups is not an easy feat. That the Eight of Cups speaks to someone that has spent a long time or a lot of energy into a person, place, or thing, and having come to a place of dissatisfaction, decides, okay, no matter how much I've invested here, there must be something better, but not really knowing what that better is, not really knowing for sure if you go and seek it, that you'll actually find it. It's like a faith card, just believing that you're worth more, or you desire enough, more enough that you're willing to leave behind what is not enough for the possibility, if you get what I'm saying. So that's a great feat in itself, and that's someone that comes on the heels of someone that definitely is seeking his higher being and surrendering to whatever spiritual call, especially by way of this Temperance card, is tugging on his heartstrings, or his spirit strings, I should say, to leave some comfortable position or some well-known position in the first place. In the spirit, by way of the Eight, this is literally in search of a new beginning. And as I said, it's like it was energy well invested, a decision well made, because what he found was a material opportunity, something very tangible, maybe even through him. And what I think it is the gift of love within himself. He had the passion. But passion and love, like I said, is just different. The passion comes after the cups. So it's like this gift of the divine here was him perhaps him healing in love. Perhaps him finding his way back to his original being, like peeling back the layers of why perhaps he had began to overstep the love and even the logical energy, and go straight to wand energy, straight into the passion and the intensity, the response to life, as opposed to more of the feeling. That's what it is. It's almost like with the King of Wands, he can, like I was saying with fire signs, we can act almost before we even feel. It's like something triggers us, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna go get that. And it's more on how can I really, I'm finding it hard to really to describe the difference between the two, when I know it's very, very different when we're talking about fire energy versus love, water energy, which is more love. Somewhere along the way, his I guess ambition to love, maybe that's what it is. He had kind of put up a wall where he was still willing to cater to his sensual impulses in some regards, to what felt good and what even looked good, because that's definitely an element of the King of Wands. But to feel too deeply, as such a King of Cups does do, is maybe something that he was a bit callous to, or he was just distant from in some regard. Like love vibrations can run deep, and you're way more susceptible. Consider the difference between having a lot of lust for a person or thing and having a lot of love for it. There's far more attachment to something that you love than it is something that you lust. Something that you lust, you could more or less let it go. It's a strong sensation, but it's not a deep attachment. But when you love someone, how he's idolizing even here next to this Nine of Pentacles card, when you love someone or something, it's like, look, he's willing to put the work in. the 8, the 9, 9 of Pentacles, and then we already got the 10 on the board. It's like this has been the fantasy of his, with the 10 of Pentacles, the ideal of partnership that is stable, is secure, sound, is generationally progressive by way of it being generational wealth, definitely productive and prosperous in its own regard. And even that is kind of, like I said, that's the last of the suits. It's like I said, thank you, Spirit, putting the cart before the horse. So he could see the end results of the most ideal happily ever after that he visualizes. But what was missing is that foundational step, which is love. The creativity by way of the Pentacles, where it actually is made manifest, becomes spirit into matter, all comes back down to one, which is from the spirit itself, the spirit within you. That vibration of love is the fuel of creativity. So it's like he had all the passion and the ambition for the end result, perhaps, even had the know-how, perhaps, even though that's not really implied here because there's no sword energy. But what's most important, though, is the fact that he's been healed in his purest form, with the Lover's card here and with the King of Cups, because it's this pure form of love expressed most vitally that is going to be the attractive force for this end result of the 10 of Pentacles here. He could work all day and all night, and it would never amount to the fulfillment of the 10 of Cups, even in that regard, without it first coming from a purified space of spirit, i.e. love first. I hope that's making sense. And yeah, because it's like, and perhaps he's had to, the challenge and the charge of walking away was that he's probably had many missteps in love by way of this 8 of Cups here in the first place. Why? Because he's never been allowed, he hadn't up until this point allowed himself to be purified in spirit and in truth, to love holistically. He had too many blockages and perhaps burdens to allow himself to be completely surrendered to the possibilities of love. And so then he just led with his wand because that was a safer bet. He could control that. That's what it is. With the King of Wands, you can operate in more of a control over your objectivity or your whatever it is that you're objectifying, or whatever your ambitions have you set upon. The King of Wands is in control of that matter. He's in control of his actions. He knows how to conquer where he sets his sights or his focus, and whatever he says he wants is what he has, really. But it still comes down to, that's more so like the action and the ambition behind the desire. We all, as manifestors in the temperance energy, bringing spirit into matter, get to work smarter, not harder, to bring a thing to life, to actually go within and purify from the point of from our most organic space, which is the space of spirit, that's sometimes intangible and sometimes even hard to get to because it's so deep. And also is so vulnerable, because as it's shown here with the eight of Cups, this is someone that's probably tried love or his own version of love in some regard over and over again, or perhaps has surrendered himself to love and it's not working out for him in the ways that he idealized or anticipated. And so instead of him now continuing to beat that dead horse over and over again, doing it the same old way, he's had the courage to say, you know what, I need to try something new. Maybe not lead with my wand. Maybe not go with the girl that looks good, or the one that I can control my emotions with the best. Because the King of Wands is somebody that could definitely be here for a good time, and it won't be any less gratifying for him to be with someone that's attractive, that's a good time, that's exciting, that definitely gets his wand going, and that he does like, or maybe even love to some degree, but he can control how much of himself he's willing to invest, or how vulnerable. That's what it is. The King of Wands is not super vulnerable. How vulnerable he's going to be in order to protect his emotions and his best interests. He has control over that. So it's not like he doesn't have, love connections, or at least some energetic connections, but it's been done in such a way that him investing that way over and over again has not, at this point here with the Eight of Cups, led him into that true love. That's what it is, vibration that the Lovers gives off. The Lovers is a pure exchange of love. It's not lust. It's not struggle love. It's not we together because, we need each other to survive. It's not, love that is obsessive or controlling, or possessive for that matter. It's two people that are spiritually aligned in their own regard, first and foremost, that decide to be open to the exchange of that partnership that looks like them outside of them. You know what I mean? And you be good with that, with or without the external partnership. But once you get to a certain place where you're good on your own, you're almost like a magnet for someone else that's on that same page or on that same level. And again, as I always like to say, it could be actually about relationship in this regard, which I think it is, but it could even be business partnership. It could be opportunities as the Ace of Pentacles presents itself. Like you, maybe someone that's looking for a certain, looking to be in a certain field or career, or looking for a certain opportunity to expand financially, to build a legacy or wealth or stability. And, it could be as practical as needing more training or more experience. Well, when you identify that there's something lacking, or best, there's a way that you want to elevate your expression of self, meaning get the experience, get the training, the education, the hours, whatever it is that you think it is that you need, which is not always physical, but for this practical example, is you identifying where you'd like to expand or extend your vitality, and committing yourselves to acquire it. So in a spiritual sense, you perhaps overlook your breadth of relationship experience and say, I don't want to love like this anymore. I don't want to be in a partnership where I'm feeling like I'm more into it than they are, or that I don't feel holistically appreciated for myself, or I feel like, I gotta hide parts of myself so that I don't make the other person uncomfortable, or I gotta hold back so that I don't scare a person off or push a person away. You may see that evidence based on your experience, and you could make the decision at that point that it's more valuable to you to just have someone on your arm, or have someone for company or stability or security, whatever it may be. So you continue to buy into that same way of loving in the Eight of Cups. Or you could decide that I want something different, and so I'm going to be something different. And you start to elevate your perspective of love by way of what you truly believe that you're first worthy of, before you can even attract what that value truly is. So understanding why you felt you needed to diminish your vitality in the first place, why you had to lessen your expression of self in the first place. Why did you think that you were too much or too little, or, whatever the case may be at all, in order for someone to find value in you. That's a personal thing before it's external, So coming to terms with what that could be, finding healing within your understanding by way of working with the spirit that's ultimately calling you to that higher understanding in the first place, which is why you've had the missteps in love over and over again, or just have dissatisfactory experiences. And then coming to that and then committing to that order, and if there is something that you want to change, you want to be more understanding, you want to listen better, you want to focus more on cultivating your own creativity, your own gifts. Maybe you were too consumed with what other people's needs were in a relationship, but not valuing your own enough, and so there caused the imbalance. So it goes deep when we're talking about healing and really committing to your higher self, but it is a very solo path to take for sure. It's something that it's solitary. It has to be done on your own first to kind of clear away the debris of our conditioning, our past experiences, what society tells us is acceptable or appropriate or inappropriate, or what the ceiling of what we should be have an expectation for is, what we're worthy of. There's like so many layers to kind of break through just to get to, beyond the ceiling of ourselves as it's been projected to us. And then you find yourself open to be able to love from this pure space that's equal, balance, give and take, because you know what you're worthy of, and you know what you're willing to give, and you know what your expectation is to receive. You ultimately start to value yourself as this gift of the divine in some way, shape, or form. And so therefore, you're only looking to exchange with that same level of value. If I'm a gift, I'm not going to be exchanging with trash. When you are a gift, but you're trying to make yourself less than for the sake of, just having a man or a woman, or keeping things kind of balanced or harmonious in some regard, it ultimately does falter, because if you're not in a exchange of relationally, professionally, platonically, or otherwise, where you can totally be yourself authentically, there's always going to be something lacking, something off there. You'll be feeling like you're at a disadvantage, and the other person ultimately is at a disadvantage because they're not privy to the pureness of you. They're just getting a representative and responding accordingly. So then when things fall apart, it's like, well, no wonder he didn't really know who I was anyway. I never really allowed him into that part of me. I never really allowed him to truly see me. What do they say? Into me you see. Is that how it goes? Intimacy, into me you see, you know what I'm trying to say. Well, anyway, speaking of that, that's what this King of Wands has ultimately gained himself, which is a fearlessness and a willingness to be intimate, purely. Intimacy and passion are definitely intimacy and sensuality are different. He's sensual here as the King of Wands. He's willing to be intimate here as the King of Cups. He's looking for a new experience of love, a new expression of himself, something more fulfilling, something that's of greater value to him that he would covet, that would put him to work, make him so that he would value so much that he would perhaps want to work on himself being the best of himself in order to keep the connection. And then here's the Queen of Wands here, which would be the counterpart of the King of Wands. But this, how it's represented here, is just someone that he's so attracted to, and that it definitely checks the boxes of his most comfortable come from, which is the passion. But now, instead of him just looking from lustful eyes as something, as I said, that looks good and smells good and seems like a good time, now he's gone within, made more of a commitment to being emotionally available for a love connection that is more pure, with the hopes that it may actually even be more lasting. And then the Judgment card here is saying that that's been ordained by this, from heavenly hosts at this point. You know, that the minute he made that decision to walk away, to choose his higher self, to be faithful for something different, you know, a different experience, an elevated, exalted experience and exchange of intimacy, is when the Spirit backed, you know, basically supported his decision and gave him the resources and the strength and the will to carry out that charge. Okay? Definitely different than the last one. Yeah, and here's the King of Pentacles. And he's here because the King of Pentacles will take his time, you know, and he crosses his I's and dots his T's, and he will take his time. And sometimes it almost seems like it's too late with the King of Pentacles, but in this case, I feel like it's right on time. It's right on time. Like it may have felt like too late, you know, it may have felt like it took a long time for him to come to this place of maturation and wisdom, and perhaps even ascension and evolution in his energy. You know, it felt like it took a lot of work, a lot out of him. Even with the Eight of Pentacles, like he worked incessantly. He was very devoted to some change here, you know. So it may have felt like it took a long time, but one thing about the Knight of Pentacles in the best vibration is that when it comes, it's something that is stable and dependable. If this was the Knight of Wands, it might be a bit more questionable, because that would speak to maybe perhaps a regression in energy. Maybe not. You know, let me not speak too soon, because we still got to catch the top. But with the Knight of Pentacles, it's just saying that, and you know what? This is actually, remember I said it's the material aspect of manifestation that happens last, and this is that with the Pentacle card. So it's like he started off in the King of Wands. He went and healed his original self, literally his original being, with the Lover's card, with the King of Cups, mastered that expression, and now it's looking like it's starting to act. He's starting to see the fruits of his labor. That's what I'm getting. Is that he's really starting to see the fruits of his labor within himself, because this is like working outside of yourself. So maybe his surroundings have changed. Maybe his actual, you know, money has changed in some regard, because when you do change your spiritual nature, as I said, that source of manifestation, you do see a change in the material reflection. So maybe he's getting better opportunities, having more money in his pocket, you know, all of that good stuff that's more measurable. But this is the expression of him coming into that change for himself, seeing himself more stable, more willing to commit, more grounded, being so committed that he's actually looking forward to doing whatever it takes to protect this investment, the one within himself and the one that he has his eyes set on. The one that was gifted to him ultimately is the one within himself. He's very intentional, as a knight would be, about protecting that force. So that's good. I'm down with that too. Let's see what's on the top. And then there's the Two of Cups. There's a Two of Cups that was balanced here with the Temperance card. Here's his cup with the King of Wands, with the King of Cups. And now, maybe perhaps this is that Nine of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, Queen of Wands energy, who has since been inspired in some regard because he's changed his vibration. This is the attractive force to him, that now they're both on the same page, both willing to be intimate, to be open to love. This is literally about two people sharing mutual, like the feelings are mutual between these two with the Two of Cups. And again, it doesn't have to be intimately. It can't even be platonically with this. It can be, but honestly, like, I'm not even going to stretch that example again, because I don't even think it's worth trying to. If you can consider the possibilities of it being platonic or professional, and that makes more sense in your life, that resonates more, then by all means have at it. But the way this is played out, this is definitely speaking more about a partnership of an intimate nature that has had great potential, so it seems. Well, certainly the masculine energy within it has had great potential because he's had a clear perspective of what he's desired from the gate. You know, he's always had the vision of the end result of what he idealized as being the perfect case scenario for connection. He just didn't always have all the steps in between as to how to get there, primarily by way of himself, through himself, him being that navigatable force to lead to that. There may have been some ways in which he didn't feel like he even had, he could even measure up to what such an end result truly called for, because he was so insistent on doing love in one way, or doing connection in one way, in the King of Wands energy, that the possibility of doing something different was a daunting task. Hence why it took him 8 cups to finally make a move. You definitely can't, shake a finger at someone at the 8 of Cups, because we all are conditioned by comfort and complacency. As human beings, even the most ambitious, even as the fire signs can be ambitious and adventurous, there's still something within our human psyche that craves comfort and stability and security, so much that sometimes we're willing to sacrifice our spiritual satisfaction just to feel safe physically and energetically, just to feel sound, feel stable in some regard. And one thing's for sure, 2 things for certain: love can be a very unpredictable element. You could give your all to it and not receive anything back. You could give nothing, or have someone give you everything and feel compelled to give nothing in return, and you're just there as an empty shell. But there was something about this character here that felt like he had the capacity to give more. He didn't always have the evidence for it, but he had the vision, and he was willing to submit to that vision and see it through. And it looks like that is either what has happened, definitely not too little too late. It seems like right on time, that all his efforts have paid off, and that is what has happened, or that is what's set to happen. In any regard, it's possible. It's much more possible now, given that he has lended himself to that reality, to see it as a possibility, than it was when he was just willing to take whatever he could get, and give as little as possible in return at that. It seems like the judgment is here, that this is a decision from a divine ordinance, that because he invested in the work, the spirit is willing to release the reward. So it is, and so it shall be. And that's nice. Definitely a turn from the other story, honey. This is a different vibration than that one. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you found something that resonates. It was a little bit of a struggle for me. And usually the ones that catch my tongue a little bit, that I'm feeling a little bit like, stoppy-starty in, have some great value. So perhaps when I watch it back, I'll really get into it a little bit more. But either way, I hope you found something valuable in it, and that if you are on more or less so on the edge of, I would say, thoughtful about the ideal of intimacy and love, and really surrendering yourself to that current, I say go for it. If it's something that feels good to your senses and to your soul, if it's soothing to your spirit, if you feel energized by the exchange with whomever, is in question, or whomever you are in contact with. And I mean energized, not by lustful standards. I mean somebody that makes you feel good about yourself. And when you're not with them, you feel good, and you don't necessarily feel incited by fear as to whether or not they're doing something else, or you have some fear of losing them or being disconnected. It's just like a peacefulness about it, like you feel sound, safe and sound to just be yourself and who you are when you're with them and when you're apart. That's definitely, I would say, a good sign. There's always the be wary of the love bombers out there, but we know when it comes to like narcissistic tendencies and behaviors, the love bombing don't last long. Usually you'll see some evidence of some inconsistencies in what's being said versus what's actually being done, and you'll be able to see like if somebody's just not consistent. They say they're going to do one thing or call one at one time, or there's plans to do something at this time, and somehow things just always kind of crumble or fall through, or you find little discrepancies in what they're saying versus how they're acting or actually in what they're saying by way of their own personal truth. That's something more on the reserve, to really be thoughtful and discerning about, as to how you just, completely indulge or, submerge yourself in that experience. But when you know. And if you've been in the position, like I said, the lover's point is key, because you've kind of done some of the heavy lifting by healing and identifying based on past experience and matched with your present desires, where perhaps there may be a void in your expectations and realizations, if you know what I mean. That comes from that intentionality to heal first and foremost, being attractive for a certain vibration. Because when you are, it doesn't mean that narcissists or opportunists at best, right, won't come a knocking, but you'll be much more discerning and on guard for those signals and cues to know, like, oh no, I ain't feeling good about this. Like, yeah, he's saying all the right things, but nah, it's not feeling pure to me. You'll be much more, and it won't be a paranoia, it'll just be discernment. It'll just be your emotional intelligence leading you to protect yourself. That comes from doing the healing work first. So I'm speaking to people that have already been there, done that. Perhaps you haven't even been in connection with someone in a while, or you're transitioning from a connection, or you're just open to love in a pure way now because you've been loving on yourself, regardless, or open to a connection going to the next step, going to the next level, or elevating, expanding, perhaps even getting deeper, dare I say. There's that too. So it doesn't have to be new love altogether. It can be going to new heights in an existing partnership. That still calls for us to be willing to take that dive into intimacy, to be able to feel safe and secure, to be ourselves with ourselves first and foremost, so that we can match that vibration with someone else and really give someone, offer someone the truth of our divine essence, pure, holy, and complete, from this lover's vibration, literally being naked and afraid. Maybe not yet, if it's not time for that, but emotionally so, just willing to bear all unapologetically, really being that secure with yourself that that it's this take it or leave it situation, that I know I'm operating in the best of who I am, and that I have a lot to offer, and the one that is willing and able to receive all of me will do so without restriction or resistance. So I won't have to change a thing. And hopefully that partner for you will have that same luxury. Hence the lovers, two people, and the Two of Cups, two people on the same page, sharing mutual emotional connection. Beautiful. I love it. All right. And of course, that leads to what? That abundance. Good love definitely leads to good money. Hands down. It's a direct connection. So you can't really have, well, you can have money for sure if that's all that you're interested in, but it won't even be good money, I'll say, because there'll be some satisfaction missing there if it's not connected to a heart space, like a meaning attached to it, an emotional attachment in some regard for what you're acquiring for yourself materially. You can, of course, you can have hella money and have empty pockets, but in actuality, if the love is pure, then and the two are on the same page, prosperity should follow. It should be in the midst. It should manifest from that type of vibration almost naturally, and limitlessly to that regard, because you should both be encouraging each other to be, do, and have your best. So with that type of, energy compounded by two, magnified by two, there's really no reason why some physical material actualization shouldn't be happening. So I guess I'm saying, if you're in a love connection and the money is not, and the money is funny, you may be wanting to consider that love connection, and where there may be some voids for, healing possible, or some opportunities to mend some broken channels there, or connections. And if you're making hella money, you desire to have someone to share it with, but you don't, or no one truly of value that you would even want to trust to share in that experience, then you may want to check in on your ambitions toward that money. Like, what is it that you're sacrificing of yourself to have material over love? What's more valuable of that thing than to be in an attractive force to actually share that treasure and that harvest with someone else, if that's what you desire to do? So like I said, good love, good money, good love. If you desire the two, then there's no reason why the two shouldn't coexist at the same damn time. All right, so that's it. I'm done. Have a great day. Hope your week continues to be prosperous and productive. And yeah, until next time, peace.